question here from @JR6199 is about can a die with zero style spending goal be modeled responsibly inside retirement planning software? The question here is a little broader, but that's the summary. I think it can be, and I think there's a framework for how we would approach this. So the way I'd say this is I think a die with zero approach is actually a directional framework rather than a specific target. What I mean by that is, can you actually strategically plan to die with zero? And the answer is no. The probability of landing that exact dart is basically zero because you will not have great decision-making power over your last days of life. And so, what are you doing? Are you just going to throw the money out of the account just to get it out? But from a directional standpoint, the idea of die with zero, which is spend more while alive, there's a present value premium to your money when you're young and healthy in retirement. And if we could, we would benefit from the being more discerning about the probabilities of how we would plan our retirement such that we could have more present day benefit from our funds. And there are ways to manage this risk of basically overspending early and having too little later. Just like there are ways to plan for the risk of underspending early and having too much later. And the way we do that is through what I would call like contingency planning, which is we would pad some spending in our financial planning software and use a dynamic guardrails system that will allow us to make spending adjustments in order to bring the plan back to safely. And what we do when I say pad the spending in the plan is we would put some spending at the end of the plan. For instance, it can be really useful to model end-of-life care expenses at the end of the plan that you may never spend, but end up becoming a legacy goal if you never spend it. But if you do spend it, it helps you thread the needle. And then what you could do is it will allow you to smooth out your recommended spending capacity and your guardrails. Now, there's another element to this. I'll probably make a longer video showing this because it's actually a good question. Is like, how do we actually do this? How would we actually thread the needle on a die with zero sort of strategy? Is it would require a lot more proactive management by the person because the way you could simulate this is we would go into a dynamic spending tool and toggle the size of the spending adjustment you'd be willing to make and the probability of the spending change to suit your desired preferences. And we would toggle it closer to, let's say, a 60-40 or a 50-50. And just know that as you toggle that closer to that, you're going to have more frequent spending adjustments, but you will get to spend more early and it will draw down your assets in a more assertive style. So you can kind of do it, but I think it's definitely a risky approach to try to literally die with zero. What we should do is directionally work towards that, which is basically play with the boundaries of our spending comfort a little bit more than the current financial advisory business recommends, but have a little bit more knowledge, have a little bit more comfort with possible spending adjustments because they're minor or small. And that would be one way to achieve that. It is a bit of a waffly response to this. There's some really interesting research on the Michael Kitces blog that talks about what a 50-50 Monte Carlo score really is. And I think that's probably worth reading if you're interested in how do you thread the needle on a die with zero strategy, because it will really help frame how you should think about that risk, because Monte Carlo scores are what you call static. So as you age, your probability of success gets better just because you have fewer years of life left. It assumes you'll never make any spending changes. So once you add this element that you're willing to make spending changes and that you know that your plan gets more secure as you age, you can get better at trying to stick to a 50-50 type of plan. This is not advice to do so. This is just kind of theory crafting the idea. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access all for free.